is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. But I've only won 1 of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back when addressing Floyd Mayweather's dismissal of Terence Crawford's historic win over Canelo Alvarez. Smith passionately argued that Crawford accomplished something no fighter in history had ever achieved, becoming undisputed across multiple divisions while toppling one of boxing's biggest names. He reminded critics that Crawford's path to greatness was built on pure merit, not hype, and that his legacy should be universally celebrated rather than diminished. For Smith, Crawford's victory over Canelo wasn't just another checkmark on his resume. It was a once-in-a-generation achievement that etched his name deeper into boxing history. He made it clear that Mayweather's critical remarks could not dim the brilliance of Crawford's defining moment.
Is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather, however, looked at the fight from a different lens, focusing on the lasting scar it leaves on Canelo's career. To him, Canelo was not just a champion, he was the undisputed king of his weight class, feared for his dominance and commanding presence. Yet, in one stunning night, he was humbled by a man who dared to step into his division and dethrone him in his own backyard. Jeff insisted that this wasn't just a loss, but a permanent stain on Canelo's legacy. He emphasized that great champions are remembered by their defining moments. And for Canelo, this crushing defeat at the hands of Crawford would forever be the shadow that lingers over his otherwise glorious reign.
But either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight people didn't really look down on, because even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever and an absolute master in B-ball. He went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. Because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following, because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing, losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Smith's admiration only grew as he reflected on what he had personally witnessed. Being present at ringside gave him an even deeper sense of the magnitude of the moment. He explained that Crawford didn't just move up to beat another champion, he dismantled one of the most dominant fighters of this era with ease. To Smith, this was a career-defining triumph that will live forever in the annals of boxing. A night where the meaning of greatness itself was redefined. In his eyes, Crawford's victory wasn't merely a fight, it was a paradigm shift in how legends are created and remembered.
This was Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
After the fight, Crawford's trainer echoed the same sentiment, declaring that Terence had nothing left to prove. In his view, Crawford's victory over Canelo was the ultimate stamp of greatness, one that should silence all doubters. Yet, frustration remained, as critics still seemed unwilling to grant Crawford the full respect he deserves. His trainer stressed that Crawford isn't even thinking about who's next because he doesn't need another fight to validate his career. For him, beating Canelo wasn't about chasing names, it was about building an untouchable legacy, one that stands above debate.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, was one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24,
Timothy Bradley offered one of the boldest takes of the night, placing Crawford shoulder to shoulder with Floyd Mayweather in the all-time great discussion. Bradley emphasized that this was not simply about beating Canelo, it was about redefining what it means to be pound-for-pound number one. While Mayweather mastered the art of winning in his era, Bradley argued that Crawford's conquest proved he could do it on an even higher level, taking risks Mayweather avoided. To him, this victory placed Crawford in a rarefied space where only the sport's ultimate legends belong.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep. Y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it. That's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Roy Jones Jr. brought context to the comparisons between Mayweather and Crawford. He reminded fans that when Floyd beat Canelo, Alvarez was still young, green, and far from his peak. Floyd used his experience to outclass a less polished version of the future star. But Crawford, Roy explained, defeated a fully mature, battle-tested, and dominant Canelo, the complete version, who had ruled his division for years. The fact that Crawford, despite being the smaller man, dismantled this season's champion, made his achievement nothing short of extraordinary.
Generational great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does. And the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to find it. And he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think he's on the decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Duke McKenzie could barely contain his awe. He described Crawford's performance as one of the most complete displays ever seen in modern modern boxing, marveling at his relentless pressure, razor-sharp speed, and surgical precision. For McKenzie, the night was both unbelievable and unforgettable, cementing Crawford not only as undisputed but as nearly untouchable. He argued that Crawford has now set a benchmark so high that very few fighters in history, if any, can ever hope to match it.
Know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney. And I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition. And now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, you know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s. And also with Crawford, knowing how to close a round, knowing how to win rounds.
Trainer Robert Garcia raised eyebrows with his comparison to Floyd Mayweather, boldly claiming that Crawford has surpassed him in this context. Garcia noted that Crawford didn't just win, he dominated, taking 9 to 10 rounds off Canelo with a hunger and risk-taking spirit that Mayweather never dared to test at that level. For Garcia, Crawford's triumph wasn't simply about statistics or championship belts. It was about stepping into the danger zone, daring to chase greatness, and succeeding in a way that immortalizes him as more than just an icon. He is a legend.
Canelo has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't, I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three-division undisputed. He wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money that he's not hungry anymore.
You think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three-division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing. If Canelo doesn't have any changes, if he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight and then retire. But I would be so happy to hear he retires.
Brian Norman Sr. delivered one of the sharpest assessments, arguing that Crawford's punishment of Canelo Alvarez was more devastating than anything Floyd Mayweather ever inflicted. He highlighted how Canelo, long celebrated as the face of boxing and nearly untouchable in his division, was not just beaten but broken down systematically by a man who climbed to weight classes to challenge him. Crawford's clinical dismantling turned what was once unthinkable into reality, rewriting the definition of greatness in today's era. For years, Canelo's aura of invincibility stood firm, built on big names, power, and dominance. But in one unforgettable night, Crawford shattered that illusion. This wasn't about edging out a win. It was about exposing a champion and leaving him searching for answers that never came.
So I bet against Bud on Porter. I didn't think that Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease. Right? You got to respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way you won it tonight?
He won the fight by gaining Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was smaller and everything else, these fighters are still humans and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was I'm sorry, not Canelo. Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to the Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against Matrimov or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather. Having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things it's an opinionated situation because styles make fights. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be an opinionated thing because styles make fights. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras as well,
yeah,
right?
different eras, different. It's a lot of things. You can't really say that.
Andre Ward, ever the voice of wisdom, put Crawford's victory in historical perspective. He described the fight as a generational moment, the type fans will recall for decades as a turning point in boxing. Ward praised Crawford's discipline, composure, and ability to stay sharp under immense pressure, qualities that separate great fighters from eternal legends. For Ward, this was a GOAT-level moment, the kind of achievement that pushes a fighter into rare company. By dismantling Canelo in such dominant fashion, Crawford didn't just secure his legacy, he carved a place for himself among the greatest who have ever laced up a pair of gloves.
Beat Canelo Alvarez tonight. What was your thoughts on that performance from Terence?
Terence Crawford, great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight. And he did that at 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing. Yeah.
How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people call me crazy, but I've been around Terence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there. The power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So what more can I say?
What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are checked. What else are we doing?
Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe and like this video and stay tuned for more like this.